Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world in the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. Robbie Raz here with you from Cigar Federation. As always, Logan, I need to work on my intro because we've got like intro music now. That if you're watching us live, you can't hear it, but if you're checking in on the AFRN or you're listening to our podcast, you're going to hear some pretty cool intro music, and I have to figure out how to bring the proper energy with my intro. I have to figure that out. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard it, and you definitely aren't very energetic like me, and you kind of get drowned out for about the first 5 seconds.
Well, we're going to work on that. That's some technical issues in the background.
John, get on it.
But but it feels weird though if we're just starting the show and I come on, I'm like, hey everybody, how's it going?
Why don't we just start it with woo? Like that.
Yeah, I can start that with every week. That'll be good. Anyway, thanks for checking into another Cigar Chat. We're already off the rails, Logan. We need to get you some lighting and someone to clean up your room there that you're in.
It's in my garage. The sea cave is almost has the final touches on it.
Oh, so that's still in effect. I thought that was. Oh, we
No.
got to get. Okay, so we need to get John to work on the intro. We need to get Jared to work on the cave.
Jared's coming up at the end of this month, and it'll be all done.
Oh, so you're gonna have all kinds of good lighting.
I'm gonna be all tight. I mean, dude, it's gonna make people wet their panties. Ultimate panty dropper.
Yeah. Anyway. I don't know. Hey, that's got nothing on the tauntaun that we got back here.
That's true, man. Tugging on the tauntaun.
I need to fix my my band.
Are we live?
Too. Yeah. Oh, we're totally live.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
No, we're totally live, and we're BSing about nothing. Guys, we've got Claudio here with us today. Claudio, the master blender of Mombacho cigars.
And president.
And president. Yes, I'm remiss to say, and president. Face of the company. Claudio, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. Good evening to you guys, and good evening to everybody.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Now you are live. You're in Granada, and
yes, I am in Granada. I am at Casa Favilli, our factory, and I'm inside our aging room.
So if you're just listening to the show, if you're checking out the podcast, or you're listening on AFRN, and you get a chance to tune in to CigarFederation.com, come check it out so you can see the background there. It's pretty. It looks like a good room to be in. Actually, I'd like to visit that room at some point. That looks like fun.
Yeah, it's a good room.
And
we have a lot of babies sleeping right now.
they're just back there napping for a little while. And Casa Favilli, and this was it last year that Bloomberg said that was one of the top 5 reasons to visit Nicaragua?
Yes, it was last year. The Bloomberg, someone from Bloomberg came down to Nicaragua and going around, and basically we got a visit. We didn't know who was the guy going around, and after that, a couple of months, we saw Bloomberg saying, okay, 5 reasons to go today to Nicaragua, and one of those is Casa Favilli.
That's awesome. So you didn't even know. Yeah, the factory, right? Well, Claudio, can you hear us?
Breaking up a little bit.
Oh, breaking up a little bit. Okay, so and now Casa Favilli that's your actual factory, correct?
Yes, it is our factory, and it's called the Casa Favilli because this was the mansion of one of the most influential and famous architects in Nicaragua last century. And basically, when we were in need of a new place to make our cigars, so we went around in Granada, and we found the spectacular building. It is classified the historical building in town. It's high protected by the city hall. And basically, we acquired the building in June 2014. Then for 3 months, we restored the first floor and second floor. So we designed basically the factory inside this huge building. And our problem was, how to keep everything original. So went around, for some general contractor, but they knew how to keep all stuff, all things. And for 3 months, I have like 85 guys working 7 days a week. And it has been a tough process to go through. But at the end of 2014, October, we started production. So a very slow production, just to make sure to adjust all temperature and humidities. Because basically, what we designed was like each process has a certain temperature and humidity. So when you go through the different processes, you have a different environments. So we turn some room in the room where we get the wrappers wet with a certain machinery to give the humidity, sensors, air conditioners everywhere. So today we are making cigars in a perfect environment to make those things.
Wow, that's really cool that you were able to take that, to find a building like that and that has that kind of history with it, and kind of, I don't want to say gut it because that's not the right term, because you did keep a lot of the original stuff there. And from what I've seen, I've never been. Logan, have you been there? No, huh?
I've been to Granada, but I have not been. No, I don't think I've been. Is Granada, and just check my thing, but I was with Skip one time, and we went to the Florida Caña factory, and then we went through Leon. But isn't Granada on the coast, correct?
Granada is south of Managua. It's like 45 minutes of driving south. It's on the edge of the Lake Nicaragua, which is one of the biggest lake in Central America, and within a 10th biggest in the world. And Granada was the first town built in the American continent in 1524. So we are so fortunate to be here. That is the most colonial town in Central America and the oldest as well. So the prestige to have a building that is like a pure colonial style in a city that made the history of Nicaragua, because everything started from here. Not only Nicaragua, I should say again, all America continent. It's a responsibility first, and that was one of the reasons to open our factory to everybody. So everybody can stop by and can get a tour of the factory and seeing our processes and just seeing this beautiful building that is Casa Favilli.
That's awesome. Logan, we got to set up a SigFed trip, I think.
I know, we need to, camping out at Casa Favilli, something, whatever.
I know your Spanish is not the best one, but you get that.
I got Escaparata, dog.
I don't know. What is that? I don't know what that is.
That's the aging room.
Oh, the aging
room. Now, very, very interesting about that word, because basically Escaparate is coming from Cuba. So Cubans call the room where they keep or store cigars Escaparate. We called this room aging room because one of our first rules is to keep and to age the cigars at least for 6 months before to be packed. So when you have a 6-month process of aging, you have a different environment. You get to create to have that process perfectly done. So, for example, we have a 21.3 Celsius always, 24/7, and we have a 64% of humidity in this room. And that's why they are aging so long. Because when you keep it just for 2 months or 3 months before to be packed, you can have a different, degree in temperature or a different percentage of humidity. But when you are aging for 6 months, that's pretty difficult.
So you keep it at 21.3 degrees Celsius.
Yes. Why not 21.7?
Right. Like, tell me you didn't go through years worth of testing to figure out the proper temperature.
No, it's a ratio between the percentage of humidity and the temperature. Because
so the relative humidity.
Yes, because the relative humidity is based on a percentage, but it's based as well on the quantity of water you have at that temperature. You can have a 64% at 25 degrees, but there is not the same amount of water in the environment at different temperatures. It's a little bit complicated, but we got that after long nights not sleeping to adjust the Favilli before to go full speed.
Yeah, I can't really contribute to that. The only reason I ever watch the news and watch the weather on the news is because the Weather Girl's hot. That's really the only reason I ever watch it.
But Rob could make a really sweet factory poster that could like detail out like procedures and make it real pretty. But the math, that's not his wheelhouse.
Way over my head, and I'm kind of okay with that. I'm all right. It's my brain thinks in shapes, not numbers, and that's all right. So let's dive in. We've got a bunch of audience questions here. Now we had Marcus Marcus Ratty from Mombacho on the show sometime last year. And Logan, you weren't there. It was John and I.
I think I was in India or something.
Yeah, I think you might have been. So we've talked about Mombacho a lot, and actually when we had our year in reviews show where we had a few other cigar blogs on, Cigar Coop, and who else did we have?
Blind Man's Puff.
Yeah, and then and a couple other sites. I can't. What is Barry's site? Cigar Authority and
Barry Stein was on.
Yeah, Barry Stein was on, and
no crap.
Yeah, and
David
Jones from Leaf Enthusiast.
Yeah, I like that guy.
And we talked about the companies that you want to keep your eye on in 2016. And for me, that company was Mombacho, if you go back and watch the show, and we talked about it. And everybody said, oh, yeah, because we hadn't talked about you guys up to that point. But the blends that you guys have on the market, the Tierra Volcan, when you released the Fino last year, I still think my favorite size is the Corto, the little guy. I don't. What is that? That's like a 4.5 by 50 or something like that?
That's a 4 by 50 short robust.
Yeah, 4 by 50. The Corto, that's such a great smoke. And the Fino, which is a 6 by 44, I believe.
Yeah, Fina is 6 by 44 Corona Fina.
Yeah, that's a beautiful cigar as well. And the Liga Maestro, which you're kind of re-releasing, I guess, in the U.S. Because it made a brief appearance last year, and I know I did a review on that. I loved that cigar, so I'm glad to see that it's going to be more available. And we'll get into the 10th anniversary. We get into all that, but we've got a question here, and also we've got some giveaways, so guys, hang around for that as well. We've got a question here from Jason Myers. And this is kind of a basic question, but we tend to ask it of people who it's the first time on the show, and it's the first time we've had you. So give us a little bit, or can you tell us about your history in the cigar industry and how you came to be the master blender of Mombacho?
Ooh, wow. That's like 15 years of my career in the cigar industry in 30 seconds. Basically, in 2000, August 2000, I moved to Dominican Republic. And when I was there, I was teaching Italian. I'm Italian, so I was teaching Italian. I was making a translation from Spanish to Italian, French, and English. And basically, one day, a lady called Olga called me saying, "Claudio, I have a conference about tobacco, so we need an interpreter. Can you come down to Santiago to make that translation?" I was like, well, yes, I can do that. Cigars is not really something that I know technically, but yeah, I can do that. So I started the first day of translation. That basically was some Italian tobacconist went to Dominican Republic for a visit of plantation, cigar factory, fermentation, and all those things related to cigars. And I had to be the voice in Italian of the guys around these things, explaining everything about cigars. And basically, that was a trip to Davidoff. Davidoff, we know that. And after 30 seconds that I started translating Henke Kellner, I said, I want to be like him. Like 30 seconds. My background is not agriculture, it's not tobacco, it's not cigars. I was like an Italian teacher and translating and all those things. But when I saw Henke talking about cigars, talking about tobacco, and visiting for the first time a plantation, a cigar factory, the Pilono fermentation, I was like so fascinated that I said, this is something I want to do. And I was lucky that Henke recognized my interest in that, and he said, you are going to love this, so you should do this. And that's basically how I started in the cigar industry. I stayed 9 years with Davidoff. Then I moved after 2 years and a half in Dominican Republic. I moved to Switzerland, where I worked at the Davidoff shop in Geneva for 2.5 years. And huge change, because coming from 96 Fahrenheit and living in a Caribbean country, going to Switzerland, where it was like -30 the first winter I spent there. It was a huge change, but it was just an amazing experience. And then after Geneva, I went to Italy. I went back to my country for 3 years, where I was brand manager for all Davidoff brands for the Italian market. And then I left Italy and I left Davidoff, so I decided to move to Miami. And then I started a couple of years of working as a consultant for small brands. And basically in 2011, late 2011, I met Marcus, that we had on the show, one of the founders of Mombacho, and Cam, the other founder of Mombacho. And basically we started a 3-month consultancy coming down at the old factory and, reblending a little bit, putting in place like purchases of tobacco. And after the 3 months of consultancy, Cam called me back saying, hey, Claudio, sorry, the contract is over. I was like, oh, man, that was cool. Going there and hanging out with these guys, and the idea of Mombacho, their philosophy was very, very interesting and very strong. I was very interested by that. And after 10 seconds, Cam said, you know what, it's better if you are a partner than a consultant. I was like, what? And then that's history after that, because in March 2012, I moved down to Nicaragua with my wife. And we started, thinking about the future of Mombacho, and here we go with Casa Favilli, 5 different countries smoking our cigars and new blends, new brands. It's been very, very exciting to see how good we were building the future of Mombacho.
That's awesome. It's so funny when you think about how that one little thing, that one phone call that said, hey, can you come translate this? And everybody, when you have a story where you get to where you are in life, there's that phone call or
the catalyst.
Yeah, there's that. Like, if you ever watched that movie Sliding Doors, I think is what it's called, where if she goes they showed the story twice. Like, she goes one way and this happens, she goes the other way and this happens. It's like those old Choose Your Own Adventure books. You remember those?
Oh yeah.
Those were awesome. Anyway,
those were legit.
Anyway, that's really cool to hear that story. And I've got some follow-up questions here real quick. Just want to remind everyone you're listening to Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com. Broadcast around the world in the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. We're here with Claudio from Mombacho Cigars. Logan, this next segment is brought to us by
our good friends at Drew Estate. Drew Estate Cigars. They good. Back to you, Rob.
Have you listened to John's reads when he does them on...
Are they like so perfect, like scripted down to like beautifully?
And you know what? It's funny. He doesn't know we're doing the read until I tell him right before the show. So there's nothing. He just kind of he wings it, and it sounds so much better than what you do.
But mine is way funnier.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I bet you if you A/B split test John's versus mine drives more sales.
But you know what? You may be right. Which is what I always tell my wife when she's wrong. But we'll move forward. That was the best piece of advice that my father-in-law gave me.
What?
Unfortunately, he gave it to me in front of my wife.
Don't F with Dana.
No,
yeah, I know that rule.
That's a good piece of advice too. My wife is she doesn't back down. But the best piece of advice, he said, whenever you're in an argument, whether you feel like you're right or wrong, the best way to get out of it is you may be right. So oh man, you know what? You may be right. But now I can't do that because she was there, and every time I do say that, she thinks that I'm faking it. But anyway, Logan, you may be right.
You may be right, dog. I don't know.
You may
Probably
be right.
not, but you might be. There's a chance.
Just leave it at that. Got a follow-up question here from Jeff Madre, and Jeff is a newer member of Cigar Federation. He's only been around for a few months, but it was
I would say longer than that.
A few months, 5, 6.
Sometime mid 2015.
Really, he's been around that long?
I'm guessing he is.
Well, he asked a lot of good questions. This one is he wants to know about your time working with Davidoff and how that influenced the way that you're. I don't want to say running things because I mean you're working with a team, but how that has influenced the Mombacho brand.
That's a very interesting question, Jeff, because basically the problem of a master blender is basically personal taste and technical taste, if you want. Okay. Mm-hmm. And through my experience, Davidoff and Henke, the most beautiful thing that he taught me was curiosity about tobacco, curiosity about taste. So if you want, it didn't teach me a style or this blend because of, no, it was like you gotta be curious. You gotta always ask why, and not saying, okay, I feel this, I feel that, smoking. So that was basically my first lesson in blending, and basically I think the most important thing was precision, it was quality, it was curiosity, it was ask you why this is happening, and if you do this, it's going to happen. If you don't, it's not going to happen. I mean, basically, it taught me everything. But those things, I think, it's really the secret that today drives me, blending and building these characters profiles in the cigars we make, because you can put together a bunch of leaves and smoking, and they smoke pretty good, but then it's not only the blend, it's the design of the all processes you have to go through to get that blend like you thought about that at the very end. That is after the aging. So when you are packing, that's the moment that you smoke that blend, and you got to say, okay, this is like I thought about the cigar. And it's very, very difficult. And basically, should always take out a personal taste. And then, of course, there is a bunch of techniques to understand what's going on in a blend and a cigar. But basically, the style is coming from that curiosity that Henke taught me and basically transmitted to me in that period that I was in Dominican Republic.
That's interesting that you say that the main thing was curiosity, creativity. Like why did this happen? What happens if I do this? I mean, personally, when I think of Davidoff, and I don't I don't have any inside knowledge with Davidoff or know anyone. I just think of I think of their booth at IPCPR, and it reminds me of a bank. It's very beautiful. It's white.
It's wonderful.
Or like a museum almost. You can walk in, but don't touch anything. It has that feeling to it, and to have you say that the main thing that you took from them was, be creative and try new things. Not that they don't. That's not what I mean to say. It's just that wasn't what I expected, I guess. I feel that they have kind of a very corporate vibe to them, and I don't know. I don't know if what my point is coming across, but
yeah, in my career, I smoked a lot of Dominican tobacco and cigars because spending such a long time with a company making cigars in Dominican Republic. Then in my 2 years of consultancy, I was kind of working with some factory in Honduras, another factory in Nicaragua. So that curiosity that they had at the very beginning turned into the fact that today the future of cigars is Nicaragua. So my curiosity, if you want, went through those countries, and arriving in Nicaragua. Still remember when I smoked the first time a Nicaraguan cigar. That was in 2003 in Switzerland. Okay, smoked that cigar, and I said, "Oh, what's this?" And in that shop we had 450 facing for Cubans. We had like maybe 500 facing for Davidoff and Dominican cigars. But that particular cigar, when I smoked that, I said, this is something very different. So before to start the Mombacho, I was always curious to get more and more involved in Nicaraguan tobacco blending and cigar making process in Nicaragua, which is pretty different than other countries. It is not only the factory that has a signature in processes and fermentation and blending. It's the country as well that push you down a road. It's like a Nicaraguan road here right now. I could make the same blend and making that blend, those cigars in a factory that is not in Nicaragua, in another country, it will taste different.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Logan, I'm going to keep going with these audience questions.
Just keep going.
Yeah, you can jump in whenever you want. Question here from Eric Johnson. And first off, he says, congratulations on the 10-year anniversary of Mombacho. And he says, can you give us any more detail on the new 2016 lines, plural, and what will be hitting the U.S. market this year? So I know that we talked about the Liga Maestro,
yes.
And that's going to be more of a full line. And there's also the 10th anniversary. So give us some details on that, and if there's anything else maybe down the pipeline that we can look forward to.
It's a company secret, so I cannot disclose any of the new. No.
Yeah, no, I can't talk about it.
No, basically, it's all about our 10 years of passion and efforts in making this beautiful cigars that we are offering it to everyone today. And basically, we started with Mombacho, and in 2016, we're going to have a lot of things that basically are the celebration of our 10th anniversary in Mombacho. And it's not only cigars, it's the Liga Maestro. But let's start with the 10th anniversary cigar, because of course, it's a milestone for a company.
That's the big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's a very interesting project because basically, since we started, we used some tobaccos for Mombacho. Then we brought other tobaccos for Liga Maestro, and those two things were kind of the history of Mombacho. So the idea behind the cigar of the 10th anniversary was blending the tobaccos for Mombacho and Tierra Volcan and the tobaccos for Liga Maestro. Think that we didn't do, and we won't do again, but we said that the history in smoke of Mombacho, it's about all those tobaccos. So we tried several blends, several sizes, then in the end we made this beautiful cigar that when I see them, I'm like, I want to smoke more, but we only made the 5,000, so I cannot smoke a lot of them. I gotta keep them for for you guys to smoke as well. And it's a Toro. It's a 6 1/4 by 52, and it incorporates basically tobaccos from Mombacho and Liga Maestro that are basically coming from Condega and Alapa. The wrapper, it's an Habano double fermented. So the wrapper for the 10th anniversary got an extra fermentation. So it's the same wrapper of Liga Maestro, but a very small batch of those wrappers based on the size and on the color. We made the first selection, and we said, oh, this is going to be nice if we give a little kick more with an extra fermentation and bringing up certain flavors that we want to incorporate in that blend. And basically, we give an extra fermentation. And then
so that was, I don't want to interrupt, but that was a conversation that was happening on Facebook today. We talked about it offline when I posted this up that we were having the show.
Yes.
There was I think it was I can't remember who it was who commented saying that it was the Liga Maestro blend was different because the wrapper was double fermented, but that was a confusion. It's the double fermented wrapper is actually on that 10th anniversary.
Yes, so it is for the 10th anniversary, and basically with the time we're going to see if all our wrappers we can ferment twice and not changing the flavor profile of our cigars, because the thing is to keep the same profile and character, but then getting better in strength of flavors and construction and burning and the color of the ash, a bunch of things that we think about that. Okay. So that's the 10th anniversary. Then we're going to release our long-time working process project that is called the Liga Maestro. That you guys, we had a little sneak peek last year in the United States. And basically, we started this project late 2012 with a very good friend of mine, Stefano, in Italy. He's a cigar distributor. When I left Italy, I called him and saying, okay, Stefano, going to stop by Milan to say you hello and goodbye. And I was like, oh, okay, just thinking that I was, having lunch with him. And then I said, goodbye, I'm leaving Italy. And he's like, are you leaving? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Miami. 2012, he called me saying, Claudio, I knew about Mombacho. Now you are at the factory, you blend, production, whatever. And we should make a cigar just for the Italian market. I was like, Stefano, that's a good idea. What kind of cigar? 100% Nicaraguan, strong profile, full flavor, and the wrapper gotta be from Alapa and this. And I was like, oh, slow down. Let's talk before what kind of idea we have, and then we talk about tobaccos. And we spent maybe 1 year blending, and we released the first Liga Maestro. It was in early spring 2013. It was a Robusto, and that was the first blend that we put in production. Then we made the Torpedo. No, sorry. Before the Torpedo, we made the Toro 6x52. Then we made the Torpedo. Then we made the Petit Corona. And as per Mombacho and Tierra Volcan, all our cigars are 100% Nicaraguan tobaccos. So that was pretty difficult to keep, a blend with only tobaccos from this country because of the purchasing quantities and the future crops and all those things. So we released that, and in 2015, we started having retailers from the United States that came down to visit Casa Favilli, and we had those cigars in our lounge. We have a beautiful space with air conditioner. There is a humidor. You can have drinks, smoking cigars, and they started seeing the cigars that they didn't know. They said, "Oh, you make this Liga whatever?" Yes, but that's only for Italy. So they started smoking them, and everyone was like, "Guys, you have to bring this to the United States." So we released 100 boxes of each size in 2015 in the United States. Then the guys were keeping calling me saying, even Marcus was like, "You know what? Sold out in a week. Those cigars are beautiful, and we should make them for everyone." And we had a long period to adjust the blend, to make sure of procurement, to make sure of consistency, and basically 8 months ago we started the production. So we waited the 6 months of aging, and today we are packed. Literally today, we started 3 days ago. We are packing Liga Maestro to ship them to United States, Canada, Italy, in the different markets, and it's going to be our new line. So it's going to be a Mombacho Liga Maestro, and we are going to keep that blend in production. Yes, so this is the second new thing for 2016.
That is, and I was actually lucky enough to smoke that. I pulled it my review because it was almost a year ago that I smoked it. It was May 26th of 2015 was when I posted it, and I smoked the Petite Corona, which is a 4.5 by 44. It's just a beautiful size.
Yes.
And it was a shorter smoke, but at the same time there was so much flavor in there. And I scored it a 91, which is a box split in our in our rating system. And the little note that I put here at the end, I think when I smoked it, there was I got a little bit of harshness in that final third, because I think those cigars were pretty fresh when you sent them to me. And I said if that final third mellows out, the Liga Maestro would definitely be a box buy. It was a fantastic, fantastic cigar, and I actually still have one left, so I might do a little Redux review.
Oh, look at you, Doc!
A little Redux action. I've got one or two left, but at the same time, those are collector's items. You're not putting that red band on those anymore, so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll Redux one and I'll auction the other one off. I don't know.
That's a good thing you said about the harshness or roughness, because basically the question today is the same blend. It's the same flavor, the same profile. Basically, I'm happy to say that it's the same blend. The same profile, the same flavor, so you will recognize, but it's more elegant. We kept the strengthness in the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
That it goes more than medium. It goes, medium plus or medium to full body. But basically, we refined those flavors. That I remember your tasting when you were saying a sugar cane.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, how we got that? It's good. And that particular flavor.
No, Logan, you weren't there for that, man. That was no. Claudio was nice enough to point that out. I've actually mentioned this on.
I remember you went on and on about it.
Oh, I told everybody about it. I actually got it tattooed on my arm here. I'm not
on your
guys,
butt cheeks.
No, on
your front butt.
Your front butt. That's a story for later.
That's a great story.
Maybe for later. I don't know. We'll see.
No, it's appropriate.
It's as someone who reviews cigars, and Logan, I mean, you don't really do many reviews anymore, but I mean, you could still kind of.
What happened to me, Rob, is they put me in the Hall of Fame. I was so good.
Yeah,
it was so awesome.
No, you're retired, man. That's all good.
I'm retired.
But, it's nice to get that feedback from the guy who blended the cigar and says, yeah, this was the profile that I was. That we were hoping that people would taste. So it kind of gives you a little bit of, I mean, you get a nice pat on the back, but it legitimizes what we do, which is always nice to hear, because when you're talking about these things, and it reminds me of, I remember there was one specific cigar, and I can't remember what it was, but it reminded me of like a cinnamon graham cracker with a little bit of melted butter on it. And when people read stuff like that, like, yeah, right, whatever, you don't taste that, but when you get that a little bit of feedback that says, hey, you kind of nailed it. This is what we were going for. It's always a good feeling.
That's very interesting. And basically, you open a big door on blending and flavors. And I want to say something about that. The versatility of the tobaccos in Nicaragua today is something special. We should forget a little bit the quote, Nicaraguan cigars, spicy, strong. Forget that, guys. Doesn't exist anymore. We are so refining the flavors that we can get from the tobaccos made in this country that we can. Look, Liga Maestro is sugar cane, that particular taste of sugar cane that is very particular, basically in cigars in general, but specific to Liga Maestro. When you smoke a Mombacho Tierra Volcan, that is going to be one flavor that for me is the base of the blend, coffee bean, roasted coffee beans. You make a puff after 1 inch, and you get that flavor that it makes those cigars are like a Mombacho, because you smell that and you recognize a Mombacho because of that. That's very difficult for us, blending, giving such a strong personality that you will remember that cigar.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember smoking this, and after I've done smoking and have all my notes, and I go to write my review, and I'm getting all the blend information, and I was stunned to see that it was a Nicaraguan Puro. It was one of the most unique Nicaraguan Puros I've ever smoked. You think, like you said, you think of Nicaraguan tobacco, you think of strength and spice, and it had a fair amount of strength, but for a Nicaraguan Puro, you would expect more, but it had a ton of flavor, and it had that kind of elegant balance, which, I mean, for me, for Nicaraguan tobacco, it's not something that you're as used to. So yeah, definitely a unique experience with that one. On that topic, this one's a question here from Marty Messina. He says, what flavor profile do you personally prefer in a cigar? Not when you're blending, just when you're smoking a cigar, what's kind of the flavor profile you're looking for?
More than a flavor profile, it's an overall, thinking about the cigar. Because it is true that some flavor, I'm not really a spicy guy, but that's my personal taste. So I don't put that into our blending, And basically, my personal philosophy blending, it's based on 3 different things, which is the aroma, the balance, and the persistency. Okay. So aromas, it's what you smell in a cigar: the sugar cane, the coffee beans, and all those things. Then the balance between the physiological strength of the cigar and the strength of those flavors. If that coffee bean is very strong or a little bit undertone, that you gotta wait a little bit, and those things. And then the persistency. When you smoke a cigar, that after 1 hour that you smoke it, you still have some taste in your mouth. If a cigar has these 3 things, for me, it's a great cigar. It's an example of a good blend translated in a perfect cigar.
Yeah, that's when you talk about blending in that. I mean, we weren't really talking about blending so much in that question, but you kind of brought it around that way. It's, in a way, I mean, that's what everybody looks for in a cigar, right? I mean, Logan, what do you look for in a cigar when you smoke it?
Tastes like gasoline. No. What do I look for? I don't know. It kind of depends. I mean, I like to smoke a little bit of everything, but I mean,
it does depend on the mood. I'll give you that.
It does depend on the mood. Like, I've actually been smoking a pile of Connecticut's lately. Like, in the morning. Yeah, dude. Like, I've been smoking a Connecticut every morning, which is so
baffled.
I know, dude. Right now. Dude, it's because, man, you don't know about the Tiger Kitty soft paws, dog.
I don't.
You will never, because Ish already sold out.
There's no double R samples. That's crap.
No, dog. I take the Skip Martin fluff. If you want samples, you got to buy them, dog.
That's crap. No, congratulations on that. It's sold out already.
Yeah, dude.
We'll talk about that more in the After Dark segment. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But I don't know. I mean, I look for a cigar. Like, I like it, people say, look for something unique. And Claudio, I agree with you. Like, you need to be curious and stuff. But there's only so many unique cigars that can come out, because it's all using the same tobacco, man. It's all the same seeds. It's all grown in the same damn countries. Like, I mean, it's very rare that I smoke a cigar and I'm like, wow, this is like so unique. I've had it happen like maybe once, and I'm not going to say what name of cigar it is, but Rob, I think, knows, and it's because I hate this guy with a passion of the Christ. Like, he's just a horrible person. Actually, he's not really that bad. I just don't like him. He makes great cigars, but like, I was like, wow, this is really, really, really unique. And when I look for a cigar, like, I'm not chasing uniqueness. I'm just chasing something that is good. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but what makes it good for you? I guess that's the question, right?
It's like, I don't like cigars that, well, anything off-putting, right? Like where it's metallic or bitter or just danky or whatever, right? Like, and it's not that I mean, I love a lot of pepper in cigars, but like, I'll gravitate towards earth or leather or sweetness. It's just whatever it is, it kind of has to be in balance. It has to be in balance. It can't be overwhelming. And the other thing for me is like dimensions of flavor, right? Because you can have sweetness and you can have cocoa, but like when they're not mixed together, I think the cigar is missing something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. Is like when I have a cigar that's like kind of peppery and a cigar that's kind of bready, it kind of reminds me of the stuff that my mom used to make, which was like just like white bread with the pepper on top and the oil. It's like Italian thing, right? Kind of reminded me of that, right? But when they're one and then another, not together, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I like the multi-dimensionals of the flavor.
You're kind of talking about, I mean, you're kind of describing it the same way that I would. I mean, for me, balance is key. If I can smoke just about any type of cigar, it can be, you know, a mainly earthy cigar or a spicy cigar or a sweet cigar, but as long as it's balanced out and it's not too much of one thing, then I find it easier to appreciate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about a cigar recently. I know that I gave a very high review to was the Black Belt Buckle from Crowned Heads, and you felt like it was very, very sweet. And I've heard some people say that it was very, very sweet. I felt like there was enough of that earthiness on the back end, with a little bit of spice in there to kind of balance that out. But if it's, I mean, it's just like justice. It's got to be in balance, man. If you get tweaked in one direction or the other, then it becomes one-dimensional, and nobody wants that. So anyway, no, interesting. It does surprise me that you've smoked a ton of Connecticut's. But,
like for the last 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, you obviously have a reason, and I'm going to be very disappointed if I don't get to smoke that cigar.
Dude, I don't even have any more.
Okay, so we'll get back to the topic at hand. You really don't?
I don't, man.
Crap, I would have bought some had I known. Moving forward, we'll talk about it later. Follow-up question. So this is kind of along the same lines. Another question from Marty. So Marty doubles up on his questions here. It says, how difficult is it to come up with new blends and to not repeat something that you've kind of already done in the past, or come close to replicating things that you've done in the past? I mean, we've just talked about you're kind of using all the same products that you've used before. I mean, how difficult is it to go use that same stuff but take it in a completely different direction?
Thank you, Marty, for this question. This is very interesting because it goes deep into the, you know, what is blending. Because basically our job is to make sure that the cigar is always the same, basically, okay? Mm-hmm. But the thing is we got to deal with Mother Nature. So Mother Nature says 1 year, no, it's very rainy, another year it's very dry, another year the yield on the crop is different, and basically strength will be different. So every time we put into that blend a tobacco that we bought last time and we are using for the first time, we are reblending that. Because remember, at the end, it's the final taste, balance, profile, and character. But behind that, there is a huge world of blending. And basically, why we smoke every day, even the cigars from the table, just to make sure of two things. That the tobacco leaves we use for that blend, even though they are not the same, they are giving the same result. And then that the exact blend made at that table. Because they can use a little bit of this piece of tobacco more or less, so we have to make sure that they have the quantities they need, the kind of leaves. So if you want, we start before to buy the leaves of tobacco. I go to Alapa, I go to S3, we buy the tobaccos, and we start trying those leaves for the new crops there and saying, okay, it's good, quality control passed, we can buy this tobacco, but we know that the Viso from Condega, Viso Mediano, Habano Criollo from Condega that we bought from the last crop is going to be a little bit milder than the Viso we used before. So we're starting again from scratch, decomposing the blend and going through Seco, Viso, Ligero, wherever we're using, and saying, okay, this is with the same quantity of the new with the new Viso, it's going to be different, and it is different. So there we play, okay, if we put more Ligero, no, it gets too strong. Then let's put more Seco and less Ligero. And it was like, no. For example, as a binder, for both Mombacho Tierra Volcana and Mombacho Liga Maestro, we use a Viso. In the past, we were using a Seco, but it was a strong Seco, okay? It was enough strong to give that strength from the binder that I needed. When with the new crops was getting milder, said, okay, let's go up on the Viso. So we are using a Viso. And that's basically the daily job that we do. It's trying to make the best formula for that day of production. There is not one formula for the entire life of Mombacho and Tierra Volcana and the other cigars and the other blends.
So a natural follow-up question for me to that is one, and we've talked about this in different aspects, but there's a lot of corollaries between the cigar industry and the wine industry. You're at the mercy of Mother Nature, right? I mean, the crop from this year of tobacco and the crop from this year of grapes, it all depends on rain, production, and you know how hot it was, whatever. So in wine, everything has a vintage. In cigars, that's not necessarily the case unless it's some sort of limited edition or what have you. Do you think that it would be a positive or a negative to do something like that? Because from a customer standpoint, did you just compliment me?
I did, because I'm intrigued by this.
I'm baffled twice. That's twice today. Thank you. I asked a good question.
That's a great question.
So
that's about the best question you've ever asked.
It might be. I've always wondered this. Why not put that secondary band on there that says this is the Liga Maestro 2015 and the Liga? So I know as a customer, I smoked that 2015. Boom, that cigar was nails. Every time I get it, I know it's going to be great. But I could, as a customer who loved it the first time, I could go in, 6 months from now and buy some that are the 2016 crop, and maybe it's a little bit different, but maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, what have you. But maybe there was something about this particular. As a customer, I would want that, but I'm wondering if there's positives and negatives as a manufacturer for that, or is that anything you guys have even thought of?
I'm deeply into vintage. So two things. First, in the wine business or wine industry, they made a beautiful job about education. Today we know a lot more about wines, where they're from, and I think a little bit more than we did in the cigar industry. And I would say we need to do more education on cigars. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, you wide open a door on something that I love, that it's the vintage in cigars. I think in the last years we have been very inappropriate with limited editions, reserva, vintage this and reserva that. So vintage basically should be based on the crop, on the year, on the year of that crop. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I shouldn't say that, but in 2012 we started developing a project, and basically each year we're making a cigar with 100% tobaccos from Nicaragua from 1 year of crop. Different regions, but basically I blended the cigars. We started with the crop of 2012. You're sitting right there. And made in 2013. We have been making some crop of 2013 that they are sleeping. We are working on the crop of 2014. And basically what I would love to do is bringing into the industry the true name of vintage. Okay? How I started that, if you should do this. If you peel, by the way, I'm smoking a Liga Maestro, okay? If you peel one of our all our events in the back.
Oh, look at you.
It's
cool.
July 2015. And basically, for my love of this, we put in the back of our rings the date when cigars were made. So when you are smoking a Mombacho Tierra Volcan and Mombacho Liga Maestro, you peel the band, you can say, oh, this cigar was made in July 2015.
So that's on the Tierra Volcans too?
Yeah.
And it always has been?
No, since 1 year.
Okay, since so basically you took over his head.
So it started. Okay, so
it started
in
charge.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we have these two things. It's first giving the opportunity to the smokers to know when that cigar was made. Okay, and then soon we start, with that project of vintage. That again, for me, it's the true signification and meaning of the name vintage, because it is not only one tobacco was from the crop of 100% from Nicaragua first again, and then all the tobaccos are from that crop. So the rule is, if I cannot get the balanced aroma, persistent blend with the crop that we get from that year, I'm not going to make those cigars. Because in wine, we say it was a bad crop, so vintage. I just read an article about the Brunello di Montalcino 2010. Just been one of the most beautiful crop for that wine from Italy in that vintage. And I want to bring that vintage idea in cigars.
I did ask a good question, Logan.
You did.
I feel like I should win tonight. Can I win? I should win some of these cigars.
Well, you do have a package coming in the mail, so
yeah, theoretically.
Hey, and don't forget about the 30 pounds of nonsense someone sent you. So you won big time.
I did. I did, and not only that, you gave me a compliment. So that was.
I know, man.
So you really do have some cigars that are going to be coming out that have a vintage band on them. So, and the first one is 2013. Did I understand that correctly?
12.
Yeah, good, Logan. Good. Yeah.
Oh, it's 2012.
2012, we made around 11,000 cigars. And 2013, we made a little bit more than 7,000 cigars because of the procurement of those tobaccos and the blend and all. It gets very, very complicated.
I can imagine.
When you run a small batch of a vintage, again, a true vintage, it gets a really difficult thing to handle. So we could make only those quantities of cigars for the two different vintage that we have sleeping, and then the question is when we are going to release those.
That is the next question, yeah.
I know.
And I don't know.
2 days.
I don't know.
For those cigars, I'm a big fan of very, very long aging.
Yep,
and very long. Deliberate. I'm not talking about the very long 6 month, at least aging we give to all cigars. I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 years, even more.
Interesting. Yeah. So, and when those are released, are we breaking news here? Have you told people about this? Is this because I haven't heard of it before?
The only people that knew about this project is Marcus, Cam, me, and Matt, the 4 partners of Mombacho.
Everyone in the company.
So we are breaking some news here. It's all because I asked a really good question. I hope not to get a message from Marcus saying, Claudio, well, you said that to everyone. It was a secret. That's all right. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, no, it's between the 3 of us. So.
We won't tell. Hey, Logan, how much time do we have left? Did I lose you? We might have lost Logan, and I think we've got about 5 minutes left. Okay. So that's really interesting. I'm going to look forward to that, and that will be a very Logan's trying to come back. A very true limited edition. I mean, that cigar, it's done. You can't make it anymore. Yeah,
no, we cannot duplicate that blend. And more than limited edition, I will really put some true weight on the word vintage.
Yeah,
because it's a true vintage.
Yeah,
limited edition as well because of the quantity that we run in production. Yeah, but it's a vintage limited edition. I don't know.
I'd focus on vintage. Limited edition is implied. That's implied. We all get it. But the vintage, that's a word that not too many companies throw around. And I feel like you made a little comment there because there is one company that I can think of that uses vintage, and you're referring to every single leaf in that cigar. and I get the feeling that maybe they're not when they use that term. So that'll be that's interesting. That's something to look forward to. Let me see here if we've got another. There was a couple of questions that we had. No, we're going to skip on that one. Okay, so another one from Marty. Marty's on fire. He's asked a lot of really good questions tonight.
You said that Marty Messina? Messina is from Italy. Is Sicilian as I am?
Marty Messina, I don't know. We'll have
one of the towns in Sicily is Messina, so
we'll have to find. It sounds like it. I mean, if it's anything like Vito Corleone, maybe that's what happened to him. Maybe they got the last name and the city mixed up. We did lose Logan there, so we've got a few minutes left. Let's see. So we have a lot of Lancero freaks on Cigar Federation. The guys who just all they want to smoke is Lanceros. And Marty wants to know what Vitola do you feel produces the best flavors?
It's a very personal question first, and then a deeply technical question. Personal question because, of course, we love fat cigars, long cigars, and based on the time as well, we have to smoke. So there's a bunch of things to think about that. About Lanceros, I would say that for me, technically, one of the best sizes for a cigar is 6x46, because when you make a selection of leaves, basically you have a kind of size of those leaves. And as per our production, when we put a cigar in production, we use only those leaves, no little pieces. But basically, when you make a cigar, you break the point and the back of the leaf, you refill the cigar, and that's it. We don't use little pieces, scratches to refill in the middle. So it's an very exact size of the leaves. And when you have that entire leaf, just a little bit broken, basically you are keeping all flavors of that cigar. And then the ratio between the ring gauge and the length, it gives you first a very cold smoke. So slower you smoke, colder is the smoke, you can pick more flavors. And then, of course, it's the time to smoke. And again, technically, 6x46, it's one of the best sizes really to understand what the tobacco has to say. Because remember, it is not many times about us blending. It's about listening the tobaccos, what they have to say in that blend. That's something that I would say to all my colleagues. Keep listening tobaccos.
Keep listening to tobacco. So I'm going to infer from this that when you're blending a new cigar, that's the size you're blending everything at. Is that what your test blends? Is that the size that they are when you're trying them?
Yeah, we started first with little cigars, like 4 inches by 40, 42, just to get the flavor of only one kind of tobacco. So everything is made about Seco, for example, Condega, okay? So filler, binder, wrapper, everything is Seco. So we get those flavors, and then we start blending in a kind of 46, 48, sometimes 50. It is based as well on what kind of size we want to blend. Because each size has a blend, same tobaccos but different quantities. So we really should listen to that size as well, and not only the tobaccos. And it gets very interesting because sometimes you take out like one little piece of tobacco and the cigars change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my blending is very limited, but playing around with that stuff, it's a lot of fun. Claudio, we are just up at the end of our Armed Forces Radio segment. So I want to say thank you so much for spending time with us. Logan, welcome back, by the way. And we appreciate you hanging out and taking on these questions and giving us some well-thought-out answers. Thank you so much for spending your time.
Guys, thank you for having me. That's been a true pleasure. And we should make this little chat about cigars and more. You are guys, you are just rocking about these things. And I love to talk about cigars and tobacco. I could stay like hours and hours, but time is limited. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was great. We had a lot of fun. Guys, thanks for tuning in to another Cigar Chat. We appreciate it. Everybody out there in the Armed Forces Radio Network, I say it every week, you guys are built to do something I'm not built to do. So thank you for putting your lives at risk to keep us free and safe and here so we can talk about cigars. Next week, we've got the folks from Crux coming on, so that'll be fun. Look for us again next week. Again, everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll catch you at CigarFederation.com. All right, and we're back. Claudio, I didn't really give you the breakdown. We are still live, so people can still hear us. This will also be on our podcast. This does not go on the Armed Forces Radio segment. So, as Logan likes to say, you can say shit, bitch, cockballs, whatever you want now. I know it was. I know it was very difficult. You're a classy guy, so I don't feel like you were. You had a hard time not dropping any f-bombs. But if you feel the need, now's the time. Logan, do you want to let one go? I can't even hear you. Yeah, your microphone's off.
I try not to drop those because basically English is not my mother tongue, so it sounds a little bit bad on my mouth, those things. But I could do that if I get a little bit upset. Yeah. Do that.
or if you you get a little more into that Florida Cognac that you're sipping there. There was actually a question about what you like to pair, and I'm trying to find it here. There's so many questions. Marty, you went overboard, man. You asked a ton of freaking questions. So basically, yeah, what do you like to pair with cigars? Either, not necessarily when you're blending, just when you're enjoying yourself.
I'm a big rum guy, so I like a rum, and I think basically the best pairing it's rum and cigars.
It's pretty good. Oh, did we lose him? After all that. And Logan, I still can't hear you, so I'm flying solo right now. That was actually a question. I'll bring it back. That was a question from Tracy Drew. So Tracy, thanks for asking that question as far as beverage of choice when you're smoking cigar. For me, if you ever watch Sharing Our Pairings, we have a show that's dedicated to this. But we've done all kinds of different pairings. Logan, I still can't hear you. So yeah, I mean we've done everything from an IPA, which you'd think would be a horrible pairing, and it actually works out pretty well, depending on the cigar. One thing that I've noticed is if you're going with a cigar that has some Kentucky Fire Cured tobacco in there, gives you a little bit of that saltiness that goes really, really well with an IPA. Ultimately, though, and I think this is what Claudio was going to say, is that rum is a fantastic pairing for cigars. Coffee is a fantastic pairing for cigars. And when you look at kind of the origins of these things, it all makes a lot of sense that they go so well together. For me, pairing with... Oh, you're back.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, we lost Claudio. He froze up there, but I'm answering Tracy Drew's question in regards to pairing. Logan, do you do any pairing? I know you do some teas and things like that.
Sweet tea, dog.
You do like the sweet tea.
Fuck, man, I drink a gallon a day.
That's good for you.
Probably not a gallon, but
yeah, that's probably bad. But no, I mean, you've been on our herbal tea shows and the pairing show as well. So.
It's only black teas, dog.
Not herbal, black, whatever. I mean, tea to me is herbal tea. I don't know the difference.
Well, herbal's more like chamomile and vagina. Like black teas are more like Assams and
like
Erlagings and
English breakfast.
China black and English breakfast, exactly.
Yeah.
Kenyan,
some Earl Grey.
Earl Grey it is a black tea, but it's flavored with this like bergamot oil or something, and it's got a funky taste to it.
Oh, why does bergamot sound good right now?
I don't know if that's the right name of it.
I tear up a burger right now. I'm hungry.
You like your front butt?
I do, actually.
You tear up that front butt? I bet you do, dog.
Oh, this is wildly inappropriate. So let's.
No one even knows what we're talking about.
No, but it makes me laugh. Let's do Claudio.
Am I back?
Yeah, there you are.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, internet in Nicaragua.
That's all right. We were talking about some pairings. You were talking about pairing with some rum?
Yes. I was saying, rum and cigars, they are from the same country, the same passion and the same soil. Gotta be good together, and I can tell you, it is good together. I like Chinese tea, so many times I pair with some green tea or some dark tea, red tea, and then, I don't know, beer. I like a good, fresh, crispy Pilsner, well made. That's very good because it refreshes your palate. So when you smoke, and basically pairing, you can go through two different processes. You can go for similarity, or you can go for contrast. Okay, that's pretty easy to understand. You can go you smoke a cigar that is sweet, you go for rum, which is sweet. Okay, or you are drinking something sweet, you go for a cigar that is spicy. So you can kind of balance. But by contrast or similarity, both gets a little bit difficult. If you are drinking a very hoppy beer, for example, and you have a cigar that it gets a little bit of bitterness, maybe that could be a little bit too much bitterness during the smoke of the time you are pairing both. But basically, the pairing is nicer because you are keeping constantly your attention and always trying things. There is not a perfect pairing for me. It's always about what you like, when you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking about that when you dropped off and Logan dropped off. I was left here all by myself, so I was waxing somewhat poetically about pairings. And we do a pairing show, so John and I have even though John in Miami apparently didn't want to go seeking out some craft beers with you guys. I don't know what that's about.
No.
But I'll have to talk to him about that on Wednesday when we do our show. Like, what the hell? Why would you not want to go get beer? But
Little John was tired.
Yeah, no, I think it was Logan who was tired. And
I was tired. I admit it. But
Yeah.
I went into full expectations that I told everyone I gotta be in bed by 8:30, dog. We were out till like 10:30.
Then I had that beautiful list of craft beer bars to go around in Miami, just smoking, because you can smoke basically everywhere in Miami, outside, and even inside in some places. And I said, oh, I gotta bring these guys around in Miami.
And they didn't go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Next time you're in Miami, I'll come out. I'll fly out to Miami, and we'll do it right, because I will definitely want to go check out all the different craft beers. But it's funny you mentioned with the really hoppy beer. The one cigar that John and I have, or I should say, cigar with a particular leaf in it, is anything that has a Kentucky Fire Cured tobacco in there. It's because it gives you a little bit of saltiness that you're going to get from it, and it counteracts that hoppiness in the beer. That seems to work, but that's a tough pairing to go with IPAs. And one thing that I've found, this was the worst pairing that I've ever in my life had of any kind, was I tried to pair ginger ale with a cigar, and I thought maybe it'd be good. Oh man,
horrible.
No, it tasted like bile, like actual vomit in my mouth is what it was, the flavor that I got. It was horrible. So word to the wise: don't ever pair a cigar, any cigar, with ginger ale. That was my experience. It was awful. But that's what we do for the show, Logan. We do it for science.
For fucking science, man.
So we've got 5. I picked 5 winners.
Okay.
And then you want to we'll do some stuff on the website as well.
In the podcast. Don't forget about the motherfucking podcast.
I can't forget the podcast. Okay, so we'll pick one podcast guy, or 2. What do you think?
Yeah, just how many ever email me. I'll just kind of ship out prizes until whenever.
We'll pick some podcast winners. So if you're listening, Forrest Vest, Forrest will be the first person to email you. He always is.
It's pretty much true.
Yeah, I don't know if John knows him and texts him as soon as the podcast is up, but that guy is the first every time.
Yeah, no, man.
So Forrest, we really do appreciate the support, man. So for podcast listeners,
email me at logan@cigarfederation.com.
There you go.
Membacho in the subject line with your full name, shipping address, and a statement certifying you're above legal age in your current jurisdiction where you reside to purchase tobacco products, and I'll send you out 5 cigars, thanks to Claudio. So just start emailing me, fuckers. Now.
Podcast. No, not now. Live winners I've already picked.
Wow, you're just fucking shutting them down.
No, live winners are done, man. So we're talking about podcast.
Oh, fuck.
Live winners are in a very exact order of the way that I read your question.
You still need to email me at logan@cigarfederation.com.
Absolutely, you do. And this is we're sticking to the letter of the law tonight because we want to reward folks who ask good questions. And I feel like we had some great questions tonight. Maybe the best one was asked by me, but I'm not going to win.
You're not going to
win. Jeff Madre asked several really good questions. Jason Myers, as always, Jason always asks good questions.
He doesn't buy any cigars.
Eric, we keep his humidor pretty full. Eric Johnson asked some really nice questions. Marty Messina asked 15 really good questions. And the final question.
Messina, my paisano.
Oh, yeah, yes. Exactly. Yeah, Marty, are your folks from Sicily? What's the deal? Tell us about that. And Tracy Drew is the winner, or the final winner, for the pairing question. So those are the live winners. We'll pick some podcast winners as well. Let me kind of scroll through here and see if there's anything else Logan, if you have any questions you want to throw out real quick, you can, but I'm just going to scroll through here and see if there's anything else.
I didn't have any question. I was a little bit afraid to think about Logan on the show and his question, but you've been pretty quiet
hey,
about
but
the
listen,
question.
here's the deal, is that I got about 4 hours of uninterrupted time where I asked a shit ton of questions to you in Miami, so I got it all out of my system.
Yeah,
My questions aren't appropriate to ask on the air.
Okay, so here's one. Now, Claudio, you guys don't grow any of your own tobacco, correct?
Correct. We don't grow our. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So the question here, this one's from On, and this is a really good question. And actually, if I could pick one more winner, it would be On. But sorry, On, you missed the cut. He says, "How does your company buy tobacco? Can you walk us through that process a little bit? Do you have to reclassify the tobacco after you get it?" I'm not sure what he means by that, but
yes.
I think I get that question.
Do you resort?
Yes, resort. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, we don't grow our tobacco. We have a very, very good relationship with our suppliers and farmers. So such a good relationship that I can go there inspecting the tobacco since it's in plantation, and then the curing, and then the fermentation. Basically, such a good relationship for the wrappers of Liga Maestro. We have the pilon there, and I'm the one going there saying, okay, this is done, not yet for this. So we have that fortune to go and to work directly with our suppliers of tobacco. And then basically, yes, we make a huge classification and sorting, because sometimes you can have some Secco in a bale of Viso, you can have some Viso in a bale of Ligero.
Did we lose him again? Logan, are you still there?
I'm here, dog.
Yeah. Now that I think about what he was saying in the question with do you reclassify? Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I don't know why that didn't really resonate with me. We may have lost Claudio for good at this point because we're kind of that's unfortunate. So maybe we'll have Claudio back on, because this was a lot of fun. It was fun for me. I love the cigars that they're making. I'm really excited to try the. Logan, did you send me the 10th anniversary as well, or just a Liga Maestro?
I sent Uno.
One 10th anniversary?
Only got 3, dog.
No. I'm happy I get to smoke it.
You get 1.
And so, do you still have a sample, or you already smoked it?
I haven't smoked it yet.
Okay, so we'll have a review coming up of that pretty soon.
I was thinking about maybe coming out of retirement.
Come out of retirement for that one?
On a group review.
That's awesome. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to IPCPR and spending some time with these guys, and because they really are a company, for me, that's on the rise. I mean, they're doing everything, as far as I can tell. I mean, they're doing everything kind of in the right way. They're kind of getting all their ducks in a row before they really attack the American market. America. It's funny to think about them being around for 10 years, because I've only known about them. I've known about them for like 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 2 cigars that I actually haven't smoked the regular Mombacho blend.
You mean the Tierra Volcan?
No, I've smoked the Tierra Volcan, but they have a Mombacho as well. So I believe
What's the difference?
Well, just the regular. It's just the band just says Mombacho on it, and I think that's their first release. Yeah.
Is that just for Canada though?
It might be. Maybe that's why I haven't smoked it.
Okay.
But I smoked the Tierra Volcan. Loved it. The Fino. I loved the Fino as well. I think we did another review of the Fino. But that little one, the Corto, that's a really good cigar, man. It's not a heater. I don't want to say it's a heater, but
I didn't really like the Tierra Volcan, but I did like the Liga Maestro last year, and this year's been better.
Yeah, the Tierra Volcan to me doesn't sound like it's totally in your wheelhouse.
I think I'm back.
You are back.
You're there.
Excuse me.
I was cut when I was saying about the classification and sorting.
Yes.
So when we have the tobaccos, and then at the factory we make a huge selection by texture, by size, by whatever we think it's good to have that classification. And basically then we make our base of tobacco. We have, for example, Ligero from Condega just for the Corto that you mentioned, the Corto. So we really selected those tobaccos that are going in one particular size and not only one blend.
That's pretty cool. That's a process I've never witnessed. Logan, have you ever seen when a new batch comes in and you're kind of going through it? Is it
fucking pandemonium?
Is it more interesting than it sounds, or is it just kind of just people going nuts?
No, I mean it's people that have a lot better touch and feel sense than we do.
Yeah.
Just touching the leaves, ripping them down, breaking open bales, sorting and classifying, sitting there, just listening to their iTunes, just kicking it.
Logan, you said something that it's a key for success in the blend of the ammonia, because basically you should purge the maximum of ammonia from your tobaccos before to make the cigars. The worst enemy of taste is the ammonia. So we have different things that we do at Casa Favilli. For example, for the filler, we leave the filler overnight, warming up at a certain temperature, which is like 36 Celsius, and then normal humidity. So it purges the ammonia, and we dry the leaves for the filler the day after. Same things for wrappers. We leave the wrappers in our room at 38 degrees, 96% of humidity for 18 hours. So it's not a true fermentation, but basically we allow the tobaccos to purge ammonia, and then we use those for the production.
Yeah, that's
seems like a really high humidity.
It is very, for the wrappers at 96 and 98%, it's very, very high humidity.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. But for that humidity, we use a different system of filtration. So we don't use any water that has a lot of chlorine. Chlorine is very bad for the combustion of tobacco. So we filter the water coming from town, basically, by sediment and activated carbon, and then we use the water.
Yeah, you don't want to use that danky Nicaraguan water. Get everybody sick.
It's funny, Logan, earlier when you were talking about the flavors of cigars, like, I don't want anything bitter or too danky. And I'm like, wow, you just described a really good IPA.
Yeah.
that's my mind is heading in that direction. I'm actually I'm brewing my second batch of beer. It's an IPA, and I'm going into secondary fermentation this weekend.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, watch out now. I'll be doing some dry hopping, boy.
Two fermentations? Whoa.
Secondary, baby. We're dry hopping. And then once the dry hopping's done, I'm going to split off a couple of gallons, and I'm going to put some grapefruit in there to get some fruit flavor in there. So I'm going to have half of my batch is going to be, the regular IPA, and then the other half is going to have some grapefruit influence. So we'll see. I'm getting squirrely with it. It's actually kind of exciting. I'm having a lot of fun.
Logan, what do you think is better, the Nicaraguan water from town or the beer that Rob is making?
Which is safer?
Probably Rob's beer.
It's funny if you don't let the beer sit the appropriate
make you go blind, dog.
You can get some pretty serious gas.
Yes.
That's nothing's really going to hurt you. You might get sick, but toss your cookies a couple of times. But I haven't had that problem. My first beer was a brown ale, and the first bottle I cracked open was not good. But it didn't hurt in any way.
Did you get sick? No.
No. It just didn't taste good. But I let it sit in the bottle for another week, and that next week tasted a lot better. It's not bad, but it's not great. But for my first batch, I'm pretty happy with it. I can drink it, and that's really all I could ask for batch number one, to get that first one under your belt. But anyway, nobody here cares about me brewing beer. Claudio, I think we're going to wrap it up. We've had you here for a while, and I really do appreciate you were been very generous with your time and generous with cigars. So a lot of people are going to get to try these cigars if they haven't yet. So that's great that we're putting these cigars into some hands of people who maybe haven't smoked them yet. So that's really awesome. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you. It's been an awesome conversation and very, very interesting question. I'm always surprised about the question about blending and tobaccos and all those things. As we were saying, we need more education on that. And thanks to you guys that you give us the opportunity to show what we do every day behind the scenes. It is a lot of work. Every day, but at the end, very happy that, when I go around to see all these friends smoking Mombacho and soon the Tierra Volcán, that's a rewarding for me, It is not the quantities or the volumes. It's about the people around and sharing this very specific and particular moments in life.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you again. And I think we've got you booked for a pairing show coming up.
Yes.
Soon.
April, mid of April.
I'm not exactly. It's. I think it might be April, or I don't know.
April. Yeah.
It's. I'll have to look, but it's a few weeks away. But I know we've definitely got you booked for that. So that we'll look forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. And like I said, we've got the guys from Crux Cigars next week, so that'll be a fun show to tune into. Logan, thank you for spending time with us today. We appreciate it. you were straight.
Logan. I have to see you again in Miami, but in a different mood, or maybe not so tired.
I'm just tired today.
You're tired every day, man.
Hey, man, you got a little 20-month-old or 20-month-old ankle biter running around, chasing the dog, pulling his tail, fucking trying to jump in the pool. Drowned herself. It's not good, man.
That's you don't even want to joke about that. But get some coffee. You'll be good to go, man. It's all good.
I know. I'm good, man.
Guys, thanks again for checking out Cigar Federation and Cigar Chat. If you follow us everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, everything's at Cigar Federation. If you're listening to the podcast through iTunes, please give us a vote, like an upvote, rate us. And we've got a 5-star rating, Logan. And any feedback for the show is great. We appreciate it. And you can always find us online. You can reach me directly at Rob at Cigar Federation, Logan at Cigar Federation, and we're always happy to get your emails and respond. So appreciate it, guys. Yeah, sometimes. If you ask a really serious question, we might not respond, but if you say, hey, you guys are awesome, we'll definitely respond. So there you go.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Compliment bank. Appreciate it, guys. We'll catch you next week. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and smoke some Mombacho, man.
Mombacho!